Hello, welcome back to F1 Chat. Today we're going to be discussing the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix results. So we're going to start with arguably the worst team on the grid, Alpine. Yes, Alpine. We're going to start with Pierre Gasly, who did not finish. He had gearbox trouble on the formation lap, and he retired the first lap promptly. So probably couldn't have gone worse for him. And then we have Esteban Ocon, who had encouraging results, P13, but I mean, and this is despite, reliability problems and lowest engine power on the grid. Alpine is just looking like a mess. So it remains to be seen if they can turn it around. It didn't look good this race. It probably isn't going to look good in Australia next week. So yeah, it's kind of discouraging to be an Alpine fan. You have an absolute tractor of a car. So yeah, good luck to them. And the next team we're going to discuss is Racing Bulls V-Carb. Ricardo P16, Tsunoda P15. Both drivers hugely have underperformed so far. Tsunoda doing the better of the two, slightly better. But Ricardo spun late in the race, which costed him loads of time. He was already far behind. He never made it past like P14 or 13, I think. But he spun late in the race, and that just set him back even further. And he's just constantly slower than Tsunoda. So, in my opinion, both these guys aren't even gonna be contending for a Red Bull seat at this point. I think they're far too off pace to get even close, because Prix has been doing fine, and until that changes, I don't see, and their performance is better, then I don't see them contending for that Red Bull seat. Hasn't been there yet, and I don't know if it's the car or them, but they need to step it up. So on the next team, we got Sauber F1, or Kick, Steak, whatever you want to call it. Zhao P18, Bottas P17. The team went backwards again. Like it really wasn't a great week at all. Like almost no positives. Bottas seems like he's not even trying anymore. Like he's just chilling. He's kind of just, living the dream, I guess. And Zhao, he didn't do as well as he did last week. Not encouraging, but not the worst. I mean, not the worst. Not like Alpine where they're not even finishing. At least they finished, but the car isn't very fast. So yeah, kind of a bad week for them. Hopefully they'll be able to turn it around. Maybe. I'm not sure. And the next team is Williams. Alex Albon P11, Logan Sargent P14. Actually, encouraging results. They just need a bit more development, and they could be in the points. I think Albon had a great race. He had a little touch with I forget who it was, but yeah, he had a little touch with somebody, and it messed up his race a little bit. I think it was K-Mag or Perez. I think K-Mag had he hit him on the wheel or something, and that messed it up a little bit. But overall, an encouraging result. Sargent still not quite there, but I mean, they're gonna need to see results from him starting soon, because you only have a limited amount of races to really show that you could do it. So I wonder how long they're gonna keep Sargent on, especially with really good rookies in the system and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. And the next team is Haas. K-Mag P12, Hulk P10, 1 point. So Haas has scored points before Williams, Sauber, V-Carb, and Alpine. And their team principal at the beginning of the year stated that they were going to come in 10th. So yeah, it looks like maybe they won't come in 10th, because they're currently 6th. So yeah, this was an interesting race for Haas, because K-Mag had 20 seconds of penalties. He overtook someone outside the white lines, and then he had another penalty where he caused a collision. So I think that was on Albon. Yeah, I think that was the one. And then, but after he got those 20 seconds, he was like, all right, my race is over. I'm going to help out my teammate Hulkenberg, and I'm going to hold the rest of the field back for him. So he basically gave Hulk 1 point. I mean, it was a pretty brilliant play by him overall, because Haas was never getting a point. They just weren't. it wasn't gonna happen unless a miracle happened, and this was a miracle kind of. So again, Hulkenberg's race was actually good. He also drove pretty well, despite the car being not that great. So Hulkenberg's race was held by K-Mag, and he got a point, and that's great for Haas. Like they're in 6th place. Everything is great. Like they're looking up actually. One team looking up right there. They might have a chance. The next team is Aston Martin. Alonso P5, 10 points. Lance Stroll did not finish, into the wall. So yeah, Stroll hit the wall in practice. He did it or hit the wall in practice, and then he did it again in the race, but it broke his steering wheel or steering, what's it called, the steering thing, and it sent him into the wall. And then of course there was a great radio message where they asked him to bring the car back, and he was like, I'm in the fucking wall. It was hilarious. But yeah, so Stroll kind of had the worst, kind of had another Lance Stroll masterclass, just crash into the wall, cause a safety car. It allowed some teams to change up the strategy. It made the race interesting, at least. Like that was the best part about it, probably. And then Alonso, brilliant drive. I mean, the guy always gets the most out of the car, so it's not that surprising. But yeah, I think Alonso looks strong in the car still, so that's good news for Aston Martin. I mean, the team is kind of like hampered by Stroll because he's always just crashing or lagging behind. If Stroll could perform like Alonso, they would be in the top 4 teams, top 5 teams. So they'd be in the top 4, but right now they're just in the top 5. So yeah, the next team is Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton P9, 2 points. George Russell P6, 8 points. They showed good straight line speed and speed overall. They weren't crazy fast, so they lacked overall pace with McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, and Alonso. They just, for some reason, I don't know, but like the straight line speed thing, I kind of noticed because Piastri couldn't pass Hamilton for the life of him. I think that's due to McLaren's lack of straight line speed, which we'll talk about next. But overall, I think their speed in the corners is just not as good as the other cars. So they might have good straight line speed, but their corner speed is off. So overall, though, a good race, 10 points for the team. Not a bad race for them. I mean, it could have been better if Hamilton had more pace. If he could have gotten past Norris and done some other stuff. But overall, it's a good race. The next team I want to talk about is McLaren. Piastri P4, 12 points. Lando Norris P8, 4 points. Piastri had good race pace, but struggled with straight line speed in the fight with Hamilton, and this was obvious because he made that joke about being a Mercedes rear wing expert because he couldn't get past him, and then when he did get past him, Hamilton pitted, and he almost got past him, but then he had a lockup, so Hamilton repassed him. Yeah, it was the most frustrating part of the race for me because it was like, oh, if he could just get past him, oh my, he could have been like maybe contending for 3rd, you know what I mean? So, and then Norris, he got the strategy wrong after the Stroll crash. He decided not to pit for new tires, and it didn't work out basically. And Hamilton did the same thing, which is why they both kind of finished lower than you would have expected them to. So, yeah, they kind of did the same mistake, and you should have pitted after but the thing is, both Mercedes and McLaren would have had to double stack their drivers after the pits, so it would have been a disadvantage in some ways because but I think the time lost by not pitting was actually the time gained by not pitting and lost by actually double stacking. The time lost on the track was more, so yeah, double stacking would have been okay. It would have been a less bad strategy for them. And the next team I want to talk about, second in the championship, is Ferrari. So Sainz came down with appendicitis before the race. He was not feeling well. Did practice 1, did practice 2, didn't do practice 3. Instead, Oliver Behrman from F2 steps in. Leclerc had a good race, P4, 12 points. Oliver Behrman, P7, 6 points. So Behrman is an 18-year-old rookie. He drove an amazing race. He's probably the future of Ferrari. I think he's going to get a seat somewhere next year, probably in Haas or Williams or something. He's going to get a seat somewhere. They're going to find a seat for this kid because he did really well in this race. He held off Norris and Lewis Hamilton, seven championships. So you can't really say enough about the kid. He performed great. Like, it was a great race. And Leclerc was even impressed after the race. Leclerc had a good race. He fell off basically. His pace just wasn't as good as the Red Bulls. That's what the problem was. Nothing he did necessarily to do that. It was just his car is just not as good as Red Bull's car. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. And then Red Bull obviously leading the championship. Perez P2 18 points, Verstappen P1 26 points. Duh. Verstappen looks unbeatable once again. There's really not much to say. Perez, he needs to keep his consistency and continue to get P2 and be Verstappen's rear gunner, because that's exactly what they wanted him for. Like, if he finishes P2 or P3 in every single race behind Verstappen, that's fine. Like, Red Bull's not asking him to win. They're asking him to just be like second. And if that's what he does, that guards him against Tsunoda or Ricciardo taking his seat, right? So that's all he has to do, really. And obviously last year he fell off later, like in the middle of the year, and then that's when they started questioning it, whether his seat was going to be safe. But if he was solid in the beginning, so if he could stay solid throughout the year, that's what's going to keep his seat. So that's F1 chat. Tune in next time for the Australian Grand Prix results. And yeah, like and subscribe.